In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Chosen ones, God has spoken and His warning is clear. If you ignore this message, everything you've been fighting for, everything you've been promised could slip through your fingers. This isn't a gentle nudge, it's a divine wake-up call. Your purpose, your blessings, your destiny, they're all at stake right now. God is urging you to listen, to stand firm, and to act before the window of opportunity closes. You're not here by chance. You're here because heaven is watching, and your next step will change everything. This moment is a crossroads. God sees you, chosen one. He sees the weight you've carried, the battles you've fought, the doubts that have tried to pull you under. But He also sees the fire in your soul, the light that refuses to fade. That's why this warning comes now. Ignore it and the blessings meant for you. Wealth, peace, purpose could be delayed or lost to the shadows of hesitation. God's plan for you is massive, but it demands your attention, your faith, and your courage to move forward. If this truth is hitting you, pause right now, hit that like button and type 777 in the comments. That number carries divine alignment. A signal to the universe that you're ready to claim what's yours. You've been through storms that would break most people. Think about it. Times when life seemed to stack every odd against you. Maybe it was a financial pit so deep you couldn't see the bottom. Maybe it was a heartbreak that left you questioning your worth. Or maybe it was a dream you buried because the world told you it was impossible. Yet here you are, still standing, still chosen. God didn't bring you this far to let you falter, but He's saying, pay attention now. The enemy thrives on your distraction, doubt, fear, procrastination. These are traps set to steal your inheritance. If you let them take root, you risk losing the abundance God has already set aside for you. Picture a door in front of you. It's not just any door. It's the entrance to everything God promised. Wealth that overflows, health that restores, relationships that heal. But that door isn't unlocked yet. God is handing you the key, but it's your choice to turn it. Ignoring this moment is like leaving that key on the table, letting the door stay shut while the world moves on. You're not ordinary, chosen one. You're marked for greatness. But greatness doesn't come to those who wait passively. It comes to those who act, who trust, who say yes to God's call even when it feels risky. Type 777 in the comments now to declare you're turning that key, stepping into what God has prepared. God's warning isn't about fear, it's about focus. He's not trying to scare you, He's trying to wake you up. The stakes are high because your purpose is massive. You're not just living for yourself. Your breakthrough will ripple out, touching your family, your community, even strangers you'll never meet. Think of Moses standing at the edge of the Red Sea. God told him to move forward, to raise his staff, even when the water looked impossible to part. If Moses had ignored that moment, shrugged it off, or let fear win, the entire nation of Israel might have been lost. You're in a similar moment. God is saying, move now, trust me now. Your obedience could shift generations. The world is loud. Social media, work, stress, it's all screaming for your attention, pulling you away from God's voice. That's why this message is urgent. If you get caught up in the noise, you might miss the quiet whisper of divine instruction. God is speaking through this video, through that stirring in your spirit, telling you to realign, to refocus, to reclaim what's yours. The enemy wants you scrolling, doubting, overthinking. But God wants you centered, listening, moving toward His plan. Hit that subscribe button to join thousands of chosen ones standing in faith. And let's keep walking this path together. What's at stake isn't just money or comfort. It's your legacy. It's the calling God etched into your soul before you were born. Think of David, a shepherd boy who could have ignored God's call to face Goliath. If he had, his story in Israel's would have ended in defeat. But David listened. He picked up those stones, trusted God's strength, and changed history. You're holding stones right now. Your faith, your courage, your decision to act. Ignoring this moment risks leaving those stones on the ground, letting the giant of doubt win. You're stronger than that. God chose you for a reason. This isn't about guilt or pressure. It's about truth. God's love for you is unshakable, but His plan requires your participation. You can't sit back and expect the blessings to fall into your lap. Faith without action is dead. James 2:17 says it plain. You've got to move, even if it's just one step. Maybe it's praying with intention tonight. Maybe it's writing down that vision you've been scared to pursue. Maybe it's forgiving someone so you can walk free. Whatever it is, do it now. Type 777 in the comments to seal your commitment, to say you're not ignoring this call. God's promises are real, but they come with a condition. You have to show up. Look at Noah. He built an ark for years. Even when people laughed, even when the rain hadn't started, if he'd ignored God's instructions, he'd have drowned with everyone else. But he acted, and his obedience saved his family and changed the world. Your obedience matters just as much. The wealth, the healing, the breakthroughs, they're waiting, but they're tied to your willingness to listen and move. Don't let distraction or fear rob you of what's already yours. The enemy knows your potential. That's why the attacks come hard. Those moments of doubt, those unexpected setbacks, they're not random, they're strategic. The devil sees the light in you. The same light that makes darkness tremble. John 1:5 says, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. That's you, chosen one. Your light is unstoppable, but you have to protect it. Ignoring God's warning means giving the enemy a foothold, a chance to dim what God made radiance. Stand firm. You're too powerful to let that happen. Imagine waking up a year from now, living the life God promised, your bank account overflowing, your heart at peace, your purpose clear. That's not a fantasy. It's what's at stake. But now imagine the opposite. A year from now, stuck in the same struggles, wondering why nothing changed. The difference between those two futures is this moment. God is offering you a chance to shift everything, to step into abundance, to claim your divine inheritance. Don't ignore it. Type 777 one last time in the comments to declare you're choosing God's plan over the enemy's traps. Your destiny isn't just about you. It's about the lives you'll lift up, the hope you'll spread, the legacy you'll leave. Think of Esther, a woman who could have stayed silent, ignored her calling, and let her people perish. But she didn't. She stepped into her moment, risked everything, and saved a nation. You're standing in your Esther moment. God is calling you to act, to speak, to move. Ignoring this could mean missing the chance to change not just your life, but the lives of those tied to your purpose. God's voice is clear, but it's not loud like the world's. It's a still small voice like in 1 Kings 19:12, whispering through this message, through the stirring in your heart. You feel it right now. That pull to pay attention, to do something that's not random, that's God. He's saying, your time is now. Your purpose is now. Your blessings are now. But you have to choose to listen. The enemy wants you to brush this off, to say, I'll deal with it later. Later isn't promised. Now island this. Warning isn't about loss. It's about claiming what's yours. God's plan for you is abundance. John 10:10 says, He came so you could have life and have it to the full. But fullness requires focus. It requires saying no to distractions, no to fear, no to settling. You're not meant to scrape by, chosen one. You're meant to overflow. Wealth, health, joy, it's all waiting. But you have to step into it with intention. Subscribe now to join thousands of chosen ones walking this path. And let's keep pushing toward God's promises together. Every trial you faced has been preparation. The sleepless nights, the closed doors, the betrayals, they weren't meant to break you. They were meant to build you. God was forging your resilience, sharpening your faith, preparing you for this moment. Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. That's you. Every struggle was a setup for your breakthrough. But you can't ignore the call to act now. The blessings are ready, but they need your yes. The world will tell you to play it safe, to stay comfortable, to ignore the risks. But God's chosen ones don't live small. You're called to boldness, to faith that moves mountains. Think of Peter stepping out of the boat onto the water. The waves were raging. The wind was howling. But he walked because Jesus called him. If Peter had ignored that call, he'd have stayed stuck in the boat, missing the miracle. You're standing at the edge of your own water. Step out. Trust God. Don't let fear keep you in the boat. God's warning is a gift. It's His way of saying, I see you. I love you. And I'm not letting you miss this. He's not a distant God. He's right here guiding you, speaking to you. Ignoring this moment is like ignoring a map to treasure. You wouldn't walk past a chest of gold, would you? Your destiny is that treasure. Spiritual wealth, emotional freedom, financial overflow. It's all yours, but you have to claim it. Don't let doubt or delay steal what God has already signed your name to. The enemy's greatest weapon is subtlety. He doesn't always come with obvious attacks. Sometimes it's a whisper to procrastinate, a nudge to scroll instead of pray, a thought that you're not ready, but you are ready. God chose you before the world began. Ephesians 1:4 says, He picked you holy and blameless for His purpose. You're not unprepared, you're anointed. Ignoring this message means giving in to those subtle lies, letting them pull you off course. Stand firm, chosen one. You're stronger than the enemy's tricks. Picture your life transformed, debt gone, relationships restored, purpose ignited. That's not a dream, it's God's promise. But promises don't manifest without action. Faith is a verb. It's moving when God says move, trusting when God says trust. If you ignore this, you're not just missing a video, you're risking the life God designed for you. The stakes are high because your calling is high. You're not here to blend in. You're here to stand out, to shine, to change the world. God's love for you is fierce. He's not warning you to punish you. He's warning you to protect you. He sees the trap set for you: distraction, fear, complacency, and He's calling you to rise above them. Psalm 91:3 says, He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler. That's His promise. But you have to walk in it. You have to say yes to His guidance, yes to His timing, yes to His plan. Don't let this moment pass. You're too close to your breakthrough to turn back now. The world is full of noise, but God's voice cuts through right now. He's speaking to you, chosen one. He's saying, don't ignore this. Your destiny is at stake. You've been chosen for a purpose bigger than you can imagine. The wealth, the peace, the impact, they're all waiting, but you have to act. You have to trust, you have to move. Don't let this warning slip by. Your life, your legacy, your calling, everything is on the line. Will you answer the call? If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $120. I pay men to get blessing 100 million. Chosen ones, God's warning is echoing in your spirit because you're standing at the edge of a divine shift. This isn't just about avoiding loss. It's about seizing what heaven has already prepared. The stakes are high because your purpose is tied to a legacy that stretches beyond your lifetime. God isn't just offering you personal breakthroughs. He's calling you to be a catalyst for change, a light that pierces the darkness for others. Ignoring this moment risks dimming that light. letting the world's chaos drown out the impact you're meant to make. Think of the parable of the talents in Matthew 25 to 1004:30. The master entrusted his servants with resources, but one buried his out of fear, refusing to act. That servant lost everything, not because he was incapable, but because he ignored the call to step up. You're holding talents right now, your gifts, your faith, your vision. God is watching to see what you'll do with them. Will you bury them in doubt, or will you invest them boldly? The enemy wants you to hesitate, to think you're not ready. But God says you're equipped. Don't let fear bury what He's entrusted to you. Your life has been a training ground. Every challenge, every tear, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, those were God's way of forging you into a vessel for His glory. Romans 5:3-4 says, suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance builds character, and character brings hope. That hope is your fuel. Now, ignoring this warning means ignoring the strength you've already built. You didn't survive all that to shrink back. You survived to rise, to claim the abundance waiting for you to walk in the authority God gave you. The world will tempt you to settle. It'll offer you comfort zones, easy paths, distractions that feel good in the moment. But settling is a slow poison. It dims your vision, dulls your purpose, and pulls you away from God's plan. Look at Abraham. God called him to leave everything familiar, his home, his security, and go to a land he didn't know. If Abraham had ignored that call, stayed comfortable, he wouldn't have become the father of nations. You're standing at your own crossroads. God's calling you to leave the familiar, to trust His path, no matter how uncertain it looks. This message is a divine interruption. It's God breaking through the noise of your routine, your worries, your plans to say, pay attention. Your future is at stake. The enemy loves routine. He uses it to lull you into complacency, to make you think tomorrow will be just like today. But God's plans are bigger. He's calling you to disrupt your own life, to break free from patterns that keep you small. Maybe it's a habit you need to drop, a relationship you need to rethink, or a dream you need to revive. Whatever it is, act now. Don't let this interruption pass you by. God's warning carries a promise. He's not just telling you what you could lose. He's reminding you what you're destined to gain. Psalm 37:4 says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Your desires, the ones God planted in you, are tied to His purpose. Ignoring this moment risks delaying those desires, letting them slip into the background of a distracted life. But when you lean in, when you say yes to God's call, those desires start to take shape, turning dreams into reality. The enemy's strategy is to make you feel alone. He whispers that no one sees your struggle, that your efforts don't matter, but that's a lie. God sees every step you take, every prayer you whisper, every sacrifice you make. Hebrews 11:6 says, He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. You're not alone, chosen one. You're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, by angels cheering you on, by God Himself guiding your path. Ignoring this warning means letting the enemy's lie win. Stand in the truth. You're seen. You're chosen. You're unstoppable. Your purpose is a fire, and God is fanning the flames. But fires need fuel. Your faith, your obedience, your action. That's the fuel. If you ignore this moment, you risk letting that fire flicker, letting the world's coldness creep in. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel facing the prophets of Baal. He didn't wait for a sign. He acted in faith, calling down fire from heaven. God's waiting for your bold move, your declaration of trust. Don't let hesitation smother what He's igniting in you. Step into the fire of your purpose. The stakes are eternal. Your choices now ripple into forever, not just for you, but for those tied to your destiny. God's plan for you isn't small, it's a movement. You're called to shift atmospheres, to break generational curses, to plant seeds that grow for centuries. Ignoring this warning means risking those seeds, letting them stay dormant when they could flourish. Esther 4:14 says, "You were born for such a time as this. Your moment is now. Don't let it slip through indecision or doubt." God's love is relentless, but His timing is precise. He's speaking now because this is your season, your window, your divine appointment. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God goes with you." Ignoring this call risks missing the moment when everything aligns, when doors open, when resources flow, when your purpose clicks into place. The enemy wants you to think you have all the time in the world. You don't. Act now, chosen one. Your destiny is calling. Your life is a testimony waiting to be written. Every step you take in faith, every time you choose God over fear, adds a chapter to a story that will inspire others. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery, imprisoned, forgotten, yet he never ignored God's call. He stayed faithful, and God turned his pain into a legacy that saved nations. Your story could do the same. Ignoring this moment risks leaving pages blank, chapters unwritten. Don't let that happen. Write your story with bold faith. The world is shifting, and you're meant to lead the change. God chose you to be a light in a darkening world, a voice in the chaos, a beacon of hope. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Ignoring this warning dims that light, letting the world's shadows creep in. But when you act, when you trust, your light burns brighter, drawing others to God's truth. Don't hide your shine, chosen one. God's plan for you is specific. It's not a vague hope or a generic promise. It's a blueprint with your name on it. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "He knows the plans He has for you, plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future." Ignoring this moment means missing the details of that blueprint, wandering off the path He's laid out. The enemy wants you lost in confusion, but God's clarity is right here, right now. Listen, act, step into the plan written just for you. The stakes feel heavy because your calling is massive. You're not just living for today, you're building for eternity. Every choice you make now shapes what's to come. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Ignoring this warning means leaning on yourself, risking missteps, but trusting God, moving with Him, aligns you with a future that's bigger than you can imagine. Don't miss it, chosen one. Your time is now. Chosen ones, God's warning is a fire in your bones, urging you to move before the moment passes. This isn't about chasing fleeting dreams. It's about claiming a divine inheritance that's been yours since the beginning. The stakes are high because your life is a cornerstone in God's greater plan. If you ignore this call, you risk letting the enemy steal the foundation He's building through you. Your purpose isn't just personal. It's a bridge for others to cross into hope, freedom, and truth. The enemy is cunning. He doesn't always come with chaos. Sometimes he brings comfort, lulling you into thinking you're fine where you are. But God's warning is clear. Staying still is not an option. Look at Jonah. Called to Nineveh, but running to Tarshish instead. His refusal didn't just delay his mission. It brought a storm that shook everyone around him. Your hesitation could do the same, stirring ripples of missed opportunities. God's calling you to rise, to move, to speak. Don't run from your Nineveh. Step into it with faith. Your heart knows the truth. That stirring you feel, that restlessness. It's God's voice breaking through. He's reminding you that you're not meant for ordinary. Isaiah 61 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Ignoring this moment dims that glory, letting the world's weight pull you down. But when you listen, when you act, that glory radiates, transforming everything around you. Type 777 in the comments now to declare you're ready to shine, to claim God's call on your life. This is your divine reset. God is offering you a chance to realign, to shed what's holding you back. Maybe it's a mindset that says you're not enough. Maybe it's a past mistake you keep replaying. Maybe it's a fear of failure that keeps you stuck. God's warning is a call to let go. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here. Ignoring this risks clinging to the old when God's ready to make you new. Embrace the reset now. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $120. I pay men to get blessing 100 million. The world will try to drown out God's voice with its demands, bills, deadlines, expectations. But God's warning cuts through saying, focus on me. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. The world screamed for his destruction, but he prayed, he trusted, and God shut the lions' mouths. Your lions, your fears, your doubts are powerless. When you turn to God, ignoring this moment means facing those lions alone. Trust Him. Pray through the noise and watch Him silence what's trying to devour you. Your destiny is a seed, and this moment is the soil. God's planted something in you. Talents, dreams, a purpose that can change lives. But seeds don't grow if you ignore them. They need water, light, care. Hebrews 12:1 says to throw off everything that hinders and run the race marked out for you. Ignoring God's warning means letting weeds choke your seed, distractions, procrastination, fear. Nurture it now. Act on that dream. Pray that prayer. Take that step. Your seed is ready to bloom. God's timing is perfect, but it's not endless. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, there's a time for everything, a season for every purpose. This is your season to act, to claim what's yours. The enemy wants you to think you can wait, that tomorrow's fine, but tomorrow isn't promised. Ignoring this warning risks missing the divine alignment God's orchestrating right now. Connections, opportunities, breakthroughs, don't let them pass. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones stepping into their season, and let's move forward together. Your faith is your weapon. The enemy fears it because it's stronger than his lies. Look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. They refused to bow to fear, and God walked with them through the flames. Your faith can do the same. It can carry you through trials, protect you from destruction, and show the world God's power. Ignoring this moment weakens that weapon, letting doubt creep in. Sharpen your faith today. Trust God's promise and walk through the fire unharmed. This warning is your invitation to rise above. The world wants to keep you low, tangled in stress, fear, mediocrity, but God's calling you higher. Psalm 18:33 says, He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He causes me to stand on the heights. Ignoring this risks staying in the valley when God's prepared a mountaintop. You're not meant to crawl, you're meant to soar. Take that step, make that choice, claim that height. Your destiny is waiting on the other side. God's warning is personal. He's not speaking to a crowd, He's speaking to you. Your name is written in His plan. Your purpose carved in His heart. Ephesians 2:10 says, you're God's handiwork, created for good works prepared in advance. Ignoring this moment means missing the specific path He's laid out for you. The enemy wants you to think you're just another face, but God says you're His masterpiece. Listen to His voice, follow His lead, and step into the work He's prepared for you. Your life is a battleground, and God's warning is your strategy. The enemy is fighting to steal your peace, your purpose, your joy, but God's given you armor. Ephesians 6:11 says to put on the full armor of God to stand against the devil's schemes. Ignoring this risks going into battle unprepared. Pick up your shield of faith, your sword of truth. You're not defenseless, you're a warrior. Stand ready, act boldly, and watch God fight for you. The victory is already yours. The stakes are high because your influence is powerful. You're not just living for yourself, you're a light for others. Matthew 5:14 says, you're a city on a hill, unable to be hidden. Ignoring this warning dims that city, letting darkness creep into the lives you're meant to touch. Your family, your friends, your community, they're waiting for your light to guide them. Don't let distraction or doubt snuff it out. Shine now, chosen one, and lead others to God's truth. God's warning is a call to clarity. The world clouds your vision with endless choices, endless noise. But God's voice is a present lighthouse, guiding you through the fog. Psalm 119-105 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Ignoring this moment risks wandering in the dark. When God's offering direction, focus on His word. Listen to His guidance and let His light show you the way. Your path is clear if you choose to see it. Your purpose is a river, and God's warning is the current pushing you forward. If you ignore it, you risk staying stagnant, letting the waters pull instead of flow. Revelation 22:1 speaks of a river of life, clear as crystal, flowing from God's throne. That river is your destiny, vibrant, unstoppable, life-giving. Don't let fear or hesitation dam it up. Move with the current, trust God's flow, and watch your life overflow with His blessings. The enemy wants you to feel small, but God's warning reminds you of your size. You're not a speck in the universe, you're a force in His kingdom. 1 Peter 2:9 says, you're a chosen people, a royal priesthood called out of darkness into His wonderful light. Ignoring this risks forgetting who you are. You're not ordinary. You're anointed. Stand tall, claim your identity, and walk in the authority God gave you. The world needs your royal presence. God's warning is your wake-up call to legacy. You're not just living for today, you're building for tomorrow. The choices you make now will echo through generations. Think of Ruth, who chose to follow Naomi and God, not knowing her decision would lead to the lineage of Jesus. Your choices matter that much. Ignoring this moment risks breaking that chain. Choose faith. Choose action. Choose God's plan. Your legacy starts now. Chosen one. Chosen ones. God's warning is a divine alarm ringing in your soul, calling you to protect the sacred ground of your purpose. The stakes are high because the enemy is relentless, weaving webs of doubt and delay to trap you. But God sees your potential, your strength, your unshakable light. Ignore it. This moment risks letting those webs in, tangle the destiny He's crafted for you. You're not here to stumble. You're here to break through, to claim the victory already written in heaven. Your journey has been a forge, shaping you through fire and pressure. Every loss, every rejection, every moment of loneliness wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. Isaiah 4:8-10 says, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. Ignoring this warning means forgetting the strength you've gained. You're not weak from your trials. You're a diamond polished by God's hand. Step forward now, carrying that strength into the blessings waiting for you. The enemy thrives on your indecision. He plants seeds of what if to keep you frozen. What if you fail? What if it's too hard? What if you're not enough? But God's warning is a sword cutting through those lies. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Ignoring this moment gives power to the enemy's whispers. Pick up that sword, chosen one. You're not defined by what ifs. You're defined by God's truth. Act now and watch those doubts crumble. This is your divine appointment. God has set this moment apart, aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities to propel you forward. Think of Nehemiah called to rebuild Jerusalem's walls despite impossible odds. He didn't ignore God's call. He prayed, planned, and acted, and the walls rose. Your walls, your dreams, your purpose are waiting to be built. Ignoring this risk, leaving them in ruins. Seize this appointment. Trust God's timing and start building today. The world will try to pull you back, offering excuses to stay small. It'll say you're too busy, too tired, too broken. But God's warning is a reminder. You're not bound by the world's limits. Psalm 139:16 says, all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Ignoring this moment risks missing the pages of that book, the chapters God wrote for you. You're not to anything. You're exactly who God created. Step into your story with boldness. Your purpose is a flame, and God's warning is the wind fanning it higher. The enemy wants to smother it with fear, with routine, with apathy. But you're not meant to flicker. You're meant to blaze. 1 Timothy 1:6 says to fan into flame the gift of God within you. Ignoring this risk, letting that flame die down. Feed it with faith, with prayer, with action. Let it burn bright. Chosen one, lighting up the path to your destiny. God's warning is a call to ownership. Your blessings, your calling, your future, they're yours to claim, but they require your hands to reach out. Look at Caleb, who at 85 still claimed his inheritance in the promised land. He didn't let age, doubt, or giant stop him. He said, give me this mountain. Joshua 14:12. Ignoring this moment risks leaving your mountain unclaimed. Don't wait for permission. Declare your inheritance and take what God has given you. The enemy's lies are loud, but God's truth is louder. He's speaking to you now through that pull in your spirit, through the urgency you feel. John 10:27 says, my sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. Ignoring this warning means tuning out that voice, letting the world static take over. Tune into God, chosen one. His voice is clear, guiding you to peace, to purpose, to power. Follow it now and don't look back. Your life is a canvas, and God's warning is the brush in his hand, painting a masterpiece. Every choice you make adds color. Every act of faith adds depth. Ignoring this moment risks leaving that canvas blank, letting the enemy splash it with chaos. Ephesians 2:10 says, you're God's workmanship, created for good works. Don't let doubt erase what he's painting. Pick up your brush, your faith, your courage, and add to the masterpiece God's creating through you. The stakes are high because your influence is eternal. Your actions now shape not just your life, but the lives of those watching you. Think of Rahab, who risked everything to hide the spies, not knowing her choice would place her in Jesus' lineage. Your choices carry that same weight. Ignoring this warning risks muting your impact. Act in faith, chosen one, and watch your life become a story that echoes through generations. God's warning is a lifeline pulling you out of the ordinary into the extraordinary. The world wants you to stay average, to blend in, to accept less. But 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Ignoring this risks settling for less than God's best. You're not meant for average, you're meant for miracles. Reach for that lifeline and let God pull you into his extraordinary plan. Your heart is a compass, and God's warning is the needle pointing true north. The world will try to spin you off course with distractions, fears, or false promises. But Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Ignoring this moment risks losing your direction. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $120. I pay men to get blessing 100 million. Guard your heart. Listen to God's voice and let it guide you to the purpose He's set before you. Your compass is pointing. Follow it now. The enemy fears your awakening. He knows that when you fully step into God's call, his schemes fall apart. That's why he pushes doubt, busyness, anything to keep you from this moment. 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, the weapons of our warfare are mighty for pulling down strongholds. Ignoring this warning risks letting those strongholds stand. You're a warrior, chosen one. Wield your weapons, faith, prayer, action, and tear down what's holding you back. God's warning is a divine spotlight illuminating the path you're meant to walk. The world's darkness tries to hide it, but His light never fails. Psalm 27:1 says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Ignoring this risks stumbling in the dark when God's offering clarity. Step into His light. Let it guide your steps and watch the path to your destiny unfold. You're not lost, you're found, chosen one. Your purpose is a song and God's warning is the note you need to sing. The enemy wants to silence you, to drown your melody in noise. But Revelation 14:3 speaks of a new song sung before God's throne. Your life is that song, unique and powerful. Ignoring this moment risks muting your voice. Sing it loud, chosen one. Let your faith, your actions, your trust in God ring out, filling the world with His glory. The stakes are high because you're a key in God's kingdom. Your life unlocks doors for others. Hope, healing, freedom. Luke 4:18 says, Jesus came to proclaim freedom for the captives. You carry that same mission. Ignoring this warning risks locking those doors, leaving captives bound. You're not just chosen for yourself. You're chosen to set others free. Step into that role. Act on God's call and watch chains fall. Your key is ready. Use it now. Chosen ones. God's warning is a divine summons calling you to step into the authority He's placed within you. The stakes are high because your life is a declaration of His power, a testament to His promises. Ignoring this moment risks silencing that declaration, letting the world's doubts overshadow the truth of who you are. You're not here to fade into the background. You're here to stand bold, to claim the victory God has already won for you. The enemy is a thief creeping in to steal your focus, your faith, your future. He doesn't always strike with chaos. Sometimes he uses apathy, whispering that this moment doesn't matter. But John 10:10 says, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, while Jesus came to give you life in abundance. Ignoring this warning hands the thief the keys to your blessings. Lock him out, chosen one. Guard your faith. Seize this moment and claim the abundant life God promised. Your journey is a map and God's warning is the star guiding your way. Every step you've taken, every tear, every triumph has led you here. Psalm 32:8 says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Ignoring this risks losing that guidance, wandering off course. Trust the star, follow God's counsel, and let Him lead you to the treasures marked on your map. The world will tempt you to shrink, to play small, to think your purpose isn't worth the fight. But God's warning is a call to expand, to fill the space He's carved out for you. Isaiah 54:2 says, enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Ignoring this moment keeps your tent small, your impact limited. Stretch wide, chosen one. Embrace the vastness of God's plan and make room for the blessings He's pouring out. This is your divine wake-up. God is shaking you out of routine, out of comfort, out of excuses. The enemy loves a sleeping spirit, lulling you with the familiar so you miss the extraordinary. Hebrews 12:27 says, God shakes what can be shaken to reveal what's unshakable. Ignoring this risks staying in the shakeable, missing the eternal. Wake up now. Stand on what's unshakable, God's truth, and step into the life He's calling you to. Your purpose is a riverbed, and God's warning is the water rushing to fill it. Without water, a riverbed is just dry earth, lifeless and forgotten. Ezekiel 47:9 says, where God's river flows, life abounds. Ignoring this moment leaves your riverbed dry, your purpose unfulfilled. Let God's water flow through your faith, your actions, your trust. Watch your life overflow with abundance, bringing life to everything it touches. The enemy wants you to feel unworthy, like you don't deserve God's promises. But his warning says otherwise. You're chosen, you're enough, you're His. 1 John 3:1 says, see what great love the Father has lavished on us that we should be called children of God. Ignoring this risk, believing the enemy's lie over God's truth. You're not unworthy, you're beloved. Stand in that love. Claim your place as His child and walk boldly into your calling. God's warning is a divine blueprint showing you the structure of your destiny. Every choice you make builds on that blueprint. Every act of faith lays another brick. Proverbs 16:9 says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Ignoring this moment risks building on your own plans, not His. Follow His blueprint, trust His steps, and watch your life rise into the masterpiece He designed. The world is a storm, and God's warning is your anchor. It's easy to get tossed by waves of worry, doubt, or distraction. But Psalm 46:5 says, God is within her. She will not fall. Ignoring this risks drifting in the storm, losing your grounding. Anchor yourself in God's presence, chosen one. Let His warning steady you, keeping you firm no matter how fierce the winds blow. You're built to withstand the storm. Your faith is a seed, and God's warning is the sunlight breaking through. Without light, seeds stay buried, never growing into what they're meant to be. Matthew 17:20 says, faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. Ignoring this moment keeps your seed in the dark, your mountains unmoved. Let God's light shine on your faith. Nurture it with action and watch it grow into something that shifts the impossible. The enemy's greatest trick is making you think you're alone in this fight. He wants you isolated, questioning if God's really with you. But his warning is proof He's right here speaking, guiding, fighting for you. Deuteronomy 24 says, the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you. Ignoring this risks forgetting your ally. You're not alone, chosen one. God's fighting with you. Stand strong and let Him lead the charge. Your purpose is a flame, and God's warning is the oxygen keeping it alive. The world tries to suffocate it with busyness, fear, or doubt. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Ignoring this moment risks letting that flame flicker. Feed it with courage, with prayer, with trust. Let it blaze. Chosen one, lighting up the darkness and drawing others to God's warmth. God's warning is a divine mirror showing you who you really are. The world reflects a distorted image, flawed, small, unworthy. But James 1:23-24 warns against glancing at God's truth and walking away. Ignoring this moment risks believing the world's lies over God's reflection. Look in His mirror. You're chosen, powerful, destined for greatness. See yourself as He sees you and step into the identity He's given you. The stakes are high because your life is a ripple touching far beyond what you see. Your choices now affect not just you, but those tied to your purpose. Think of Hannah, who prayed for a son and gave birth to Samuel, a prophet who changed Israel's course. Her faith rippled through history. Ignoring this warning risks stilling those ripples. Pray, act, trust. Let your life send waves of hope and change through the world. God's warning is a divine rhythm syncing your steps with His plan. The world's chaos tries to throw you off beat. But Psalm 37-23 says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him." Ignoring this risks losing that rhythm, stumbling out of sync. Move with God's tempo, chosen one. Let His warning guide your steps and dance into the destiny He's choreographed for you. The enemy wants you to doubt your timing, to think you've missed your chance. But God's warning says, your moment is now. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Ignoring this risks growing weary, missing your harvest. Keep going, chosen one. Your season is here. Plant your faith and watch God bring the increase. Chosen ones, God's warning is a divine compass pointing you toward the path of your true calling. The stakes are high because every step you take either aligns you with His purpose or pulls you into the world's distractions. Ignoring this moment risks veering off course, losing sight of the destiny God has mapped out for you. You're not here to wander. You're here to walk boldly, guided by His hand into the life He's promised. The enemy is a shadow creeping behind you, whispering that your efforts are futile. He wants you to believe your dreams are too big, your purpose too heavy. But God's warning is a light, exposing those shadows for what they are, empty lies. 1 John 4:4 says, "The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." Ignoring this risks letting shadows loom larger than God's truth. Step into His light, chosen one, and watch the enemy's whispers fade. Your life is a tapestry, and God's warning is the thread weaving it together. Every choice, every act of faith adds a new pattern to His design. Ignoring this moment risks leaving gaps in that tapestry, letting the world unravel what God's creating. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord." Weave with purpose your prayers, your actions, your trust, and let God craft a masterpiece through you. The world will push you to conform, to fit its mold of fear and limitation. But God's warning calls you to break that mold, to stand out as His chosen. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Ignoring this risk blending in when you're meant to shine. Renew your mind, chosen one. Embrace God's transformation and let your life defy the world's expectations. This is your divine spark. The moment God ignites something new in you, the enemy wants to snuff it out with doubt, with busyness, with fear of failure. But Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Ignoring this warning risks missing that new thing, letting it pass unnoticed. See it, feel it, act on it. God's spark is burning in you. Fan it into a flame that changes everything. Your purpose is a beacon, and God's warning is the power keeping it lit. The world tries to dim it with chaos, with voices saying, "You're not enough." But Matthew 5:15 says, "No one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket." Ignoring this moment risks hiding your light, letting it flicker under the world's weight. Lift your beacon high, chosen one. Let it shine, guiding others to God's truth through your unwavering faith. The enemy's plan is to make you question your worth. He points to your past, your mistakes, your scars, saying you're not chosen. But God's warning declares the opposite. You're His. Psalm 139:14 says, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Ignoring this risks believing the enemy's lies over God's creation. You're not broken, you're beautifully crafted. Stand in your worth, and let God's truth silence every doubt. God's warning is a divine rhythm pulsing through your spirit, urging you to move in sync with His will. The world's noise tries to throw you off, filling your days with distractions. But Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Ignoring this moment risks losing that rhythm, dancing to the world's tune instead. Be still, listen, move with God's beat, and let His will guide your every step. Your life is a seedbed, and God's warning is the rain bringing growth. Without rain, seeds stay dormant, dreams stay buried. Joel 2:23 says, "Be glad, people of Zion. Rejoice in the Lord your God, for He has given you the autumn rains." Ignoring this risks a dry season, stunting your growth. Welcome God's rain, His guidance, His strength, and watch your dreams sprout into a harvest that overflows. The enemy wants you to feel stuck, like your life is a cycle of the same struggles. But God's warning is a key, unlocking the chains holding you back. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free." Ignoring this risks staying bound when God's offering liberty. Use that key, chosen one. Break free from old patterns and step into the freedom God's prepared for you. Your purpose is a symphony, and God's warning is the conductor's baton, bringing every note into harmony. The world's chaos tries to drown it out, but Philippians 1:6 says, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." Ignoring this moment risks silencing your symphony. Trust God's direction. Let His baton guide you and play the music of your calling for the world to hear. God's warning is a divine mirror reflecting the truth of your potential. The world shows you a fractured image, but God shows you His design. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, "We are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory." Ignoring this risks missing your transformation, settling for less than God's glory. Look in His mirror, see your true self, and step into the radiance He's shaping in you. The stakes are high because your life is a bridge connecting others to God's hope. Your choices. Now build that bridge or leave it unfinished. Think of John the Baptist preparing the way for Jesus through his obedience. Ignoring this warning risks leaving your bridge incomplete, stranding those who need your light. Build with faith, with action, with trust, and lead others across to God's promises. God's warning is a divine wind pushing your sails toward His purpose. The world's storms try to sink you, but Acts 27:24 says, "Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you." Ignoring this risks drifting off course. Catch God's wind, chosen one. Let it propel you forward, carrying others with you to the destiny He's planned. Your faith is a fortress, and God's warning is the cornerstone holding it strong. The enemy attacks with doubt, fear, and temptation, trying to breach your walls. Ephesians 6:16 says to take up the shield of faith to extinguish the enemy's flaming arrows. Ignoring this moment weakens your fortress. Strengthen it with trust, with prayer, with action. Stand firm, chosen one, and let no arrow touch your purpose. The world will tell you to wait, to play it safe, to hold back. But God's warning says, now is the time to move. Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, "Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap." Ignoring this risks waiting for perfect conditions that never come. Plant now, act now, trust now. God's harvest is ready for you. Don't let hesitation steal it. Chosen ones, God's warning is a divine flare, lighting up the sky to show you the battle ahead. The stakes are high because your purpose is a weapon in His kingdom, forged to break chains and shift destinies. Ignoring this moment risks letting that weapon rust, leaving it unused when the world needs it most. You're not here to sit on the sidelines. You're here to wield God's power, to stand as a force that changes everything. The enemy is a whisperer, slipping into your thoughts with subtle lies that your time hasn't come, that you're not ready. But God's warning is a shout, drowning out those whispers with truth. Isaiah 4:1-10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." Ignoring this risks letting lies take root. Silence the enemy with God's truth. Chosen one, you're ready now. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $120. I pay men to get blessing 100 million. Step forward and claim your moment. Your life is a garden, and God's warning is the gardener's hand pruning what no longer serves you. Old habits, toxic ties, limiting beliefs, they're weeds choking your growth. John 15:2 says, "He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." Ignoring this risks letting weeds overrun your garden. Let God prune. Trust His hand and watch your life bloom with purpose. The world will try to box you in, telling you your dreams are too big, your calling too bold. But God's warning breaks those boxes, setting you free to soar. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Ignoring this moment risks staying confined when God's calling you to fly. Break the box, chosen one. Spread your wings and rise into the destiny He set for you. This is your divine spark. The moment God lights a fire in your spirit to burn away doubt. The enemy wants to douse it with fear, with excuses, with thoughts of not yet. But 2 Timothy 1:6 says to fan into flame the gift of God within you. Ignoring this risks letting that spark fade. Fan it with faith, with action, with trust. Let it roar, chosen one, igniting the path to your purpose. Your purpose is a river, and God's warning is the current pulling you toward His plan. The world's distractions try to dam it, keeping you stuck in shallow waters. Psalm 46:4 says, "There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God." Ignoring this moment risks staying stagnant. Flow with God's current. Let it carry you to deep waters and watch your life overflow with His joy and abundance. The enemy wants you to feel invisible, like your efforts don't matter. But God's warning says you are seen, chosen, vital. 1 Peter 2:5 says, "You are a living stone built into a spiritual house for God's purpose." Ignoring this risks feeling like rubble when you're a cornerstone. Stand tall, chosen one. You're not invisible. You're essential to God's plan. Let your life declare His glory. God's warning is a divine lens sharpening your vision to see His opportunities. The world blurs your focus with chaos. But Psalm 119:18 says, "Open my eyes that I may see wonderful things in your law." Ignoring this risks missing the wonders God's revealing. Look through His lens. See the doors He's opening and step through with faith. Your vision is clear. Don't let the world cloud it. Your faith is a bridge, and God's warning is the blueprint guiding its construction. Every step of trust strengthens it, connecting you to His promises. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Ignoring this moment risks leaving your bridge unfinished. Build it with courage, with prayer, with action, and cross into the blessings waiting on the other side. The world will tempt you to rush, to force your own path, to take control. But God's warning calls for patience, for trust in His timing. Habakkuk 2:3 says, "The revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false." Ignoring this risks running ahead of God's plan. Wait on Him, chosen one. Move when He says move and watch His perfect timing unfold your destiny. Your purpose is a flame, and God's warning is the fuel keeping it alive. The enemy tries to starve it with doubt, with fear of failure. But Luke 12:49 says, I have come to bring fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. Ignoring this risks letting your flame flicker. Feed it with God's word, with bold steps, with unwavering trust. Let it burn bright, chosen one, lighting up the world. God's warning is a divine anchor, grounding you in His truth amidst life's storms. The world's waves try to toss you, but Hebrews 6:19 says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Ignoring this moment risks drifting. Hold fast to God's anchor. Let it steady your heart and stand firm no matter what comes. You're not adrift. You're anchored in His purpose. The enemy wants you to feel trapped, like your past defines your future. But God's warning says, you're free. Your story rewritten. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. Ignoring this risk, clinging to old chains. Step into your newness, chosen one. Leave the past behind and walk in the freedom God's given you. Your future is bright. Claim it now. Your life is a symphony, and God's warning is the conductor guiding every note. The world's discord tries to drown it out, but Psalm 150:6 says, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Ignoring this risks silencing your song. Play your part, chosen one. Let your faith, your actions, your trust ring out, creating a melody that glorifies God and inspires others. God's warning is a divine invitation, calling you to a table of abundance. The world offers scraps, but Psalm 23:5 says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Ignoring this risks settling for less. Sit at God's table, feast on His promises, and let His abundance fill every part of your life. You're not meant for scraps, you're meant for overflow. The stakes are high because your life is a beacon shining God's light into the darkness. The enemy wants to dim it with fear, with doubt, with distraction. But Matthew 5:16 says, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Ignoring this risks hiding your light. Shine bold, chosen one. Let your light draw others to God's truth and watch the darkness flee. Chosen ones, God's warning is a divine trumpet sounding through the noise of the world to call you to attention. The stakes are high because your purpose is a cornerstone in His eternal plan. A light meant to pierce the darkest corners. Ignoring this moment risks muting that trumpet, letting the world's chaos drown out your calling. You're not here to blend into the clamor. You're here to rise above it, to answer God's call with a heart ready for action. The enemy is a weaver of illusions, crafting mirages of failure to make you doubt your path. He wants you to see closed doors where God sees open gates. But God's warning is a lens of truth, shattering those illusions. Revelation 3:8 says, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Ignoring this risks missing that door, staying trapped in the enemy's lies. Look through God's lens, chosen one, and walk through the gates He's opened for you. Your life is a canvas, and God's warning is the brushstroke, adding depth to His masterpiece. Every choice you make paints a new layer. Every act of faith brings His vision to life. Ephesians 2:10 says, you're His handiwork, created for good works. Ignoring this moment risks leaving your canvas incomplete, letting fear blur His art. Paint boldly with trust, with courage, with obedience, and let your life reflect God's glory. The world will try to weigh you down, piling burdens of doubt, stress, and distraction on your shoulders. But God's warning lifts those weights, reminding you of your strength. Isaiah 40:31 says, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Ignoring this risks staying grounded when you're meant to fly. Cast off the burdens, chosen one, and soar into the heights of God's purpose for you. This is your divine awakening. The moment God stirs your spirit to see the bigger picture. The enemy wants you asleep, lulled by routine, unaware of the battle for your destiny. But 1 Thessalonians 5:6 says, let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober, ignoring this risk, slumbering through your calling. Wake up now, stay alert, and step into the divine role God's assigned you. Your purpose is a flame, and God's warning is the spark, reigniting it. The world tries to smother it with fear, with complacency, with endless to-dos. But Luke 12:35 says, be dressed ready for service and keep your lamps burning. Ignoring this moment risks letting your flame flicker. Keep it burning, chosen one. Through prayer, through faith, through action, and let it light the way to your destiny. The enemy wants you to feel small, like your life doesn't matter in the grand scheme. But God's warning declares you're vital, a key piece in His kingdom. 1 Corinthians 12:18 says, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. Ignoring this risks doubting your place. You're not insignificant, you're essential. Stand in your role and let God's plan unfold through you. God's warning is a divine compass guiding you through the wilderness of life's challenges. The world's paths lead to dead ends. But Psalm 16:11 says, you make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. Ignoring this risks wandering aimlessly. Follow God's compass, trust His direction, and walk the path that leads to joy, purpose, and abundance. Your faith is a seed, and God's warning is the soil nurturing its growth. The enemy scatters weeds of doubt, trying to choke it out. But Mark 4:8 says, still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop. Ignoring this moment risks poor soil, stunting your growth. Plant your faith in God's truth. Water it with action, and watch it yield a harvest beyond your dreams. The world will tempt you to settle for less, offering quick fixes and shallow rewards. But God's warning calls you to more, to a life of depth and impact. Jeremiah 33:3 says, call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Ignoring this risks missing those great things. Call to God, seek His more, and step into the extraordinary life He's prepared. Your purpose is a river, and God's warning is the tide pushing it forward. The world builds dams of fear and hesitation, trying to halt its flow. But Psalm 98:8 says, let the rivers clap their hands. Let the mountains sing together for joy. Ignoring this risks a stagnant stream. Let your river flow, chosen one, with faith, with trust, with bold steps, and watch it bring joy to the world. The enemy wants you to feel defeated, pointing to your past as proof you'll fail. But God's warning says, your past is not your future. Isaiah 4:18 says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Ignoring this risks staying chained to old stories. Break free, chosen one. Let God write a new chapter, one filled with victory, purpose, and His unending love. God's warning is a divine shield protecting you from the enemy's attacks. The world hurls arrows of doubt, criticism, and fear. But Psalm 91:4 says, He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Ignoring this risks facing those arrows alone. Take refuge in God's shield. Stand firm in His protection, and let no attack shake your faith. Your life is a lighthouse, and God's warning is the beam cutting through the fog. The world's haze tries to hide your purpose, but Matthew 5:14 says, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Ignoring this risks dimming your beam. Shine bright, chosen one, with faith, with action, with trust, and guide others through the fog to God's truth. The stakes are high, because your life is a seed for revival. Your choices now plant hope in hearts, spark faith in souls, and shift atmospheres. Acts 21:17 says, in the last days, God says, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Ignoring this moment risks missing the outpouring. Step into it, chosen one. Be the seed God uses to spark revival, to bring His Spirit to a waiting world. God's warning is a divine rhythm, syncing your heart with His eternal beat. The world's chaos tries to throw you off, but Psalm 33:111 says, the plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of His heart through all generations. Ignoring this risks losing that rhythm. Dance to God's beat. Align with His plans and let your life move in harmony with His eternal purpose. Chosen ones, God's warning is a divine flare blazing in your spirit to signal the urgency of this hour. The stakes are high because your life is a vessel for His glory, crafted to carry His light into places of darkness. Ignoring this moment risks letting that vessel sit idle, missing the chance to pour out His power. You're not here to drift, you're here to sail boldly, carrying God's purpose into the world with unwavering resolve. The enemy is a saboteur, planting minds of self-doubt to derail your journey. He wants you to question your calling, to think you're not equipped. But God's warning is a map revealing those minds before you step on them. Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Ignoring this, risk stumbling over doubt. Follow God's map, chosen one, and walk confidently past the enemy's traps. Your life is a mosaic, and God's warning is the piece that completes the picture. Every trial, every victory, every moment of faith adds a tile to His design. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $120. I pay men to get blessing 100 million.